Welcome back to another episode of the Switch Survival Guide. Today we are going to teach you how to make this really cool irrigation system that we used in the last video, which was about farming. And we're going to build this cool irrigation system so that it can be used by our raft fortress, which is normally not possible, but we have a cool trick to make it happen. So this video is going to show you what happened in the middle of the last video, which just would have been too long to do all of this in the same video. And as you can see here, we have this cool farm with all kinds of crops growing, but they have a very small amount of water in them. And we want to actually build an irrigation system that will keep them constantly watered. Now, an irrigation system is not necessary. You can manually water crops, and if they're actually out in the open, the rain will naturally water them, which happens about once a day in tropical climates. But if we don't want to have to deal with that, we can actually make our own irrigation system. So I'm going to open up our engrams list, and I'm looking for the stone pipe systems, which are actually a much lower level than I was originally thinking. So you can get them at level 17, and they're actually considered part of the wood tier. So if you make stone pipes, they can be damaged by almost any dinosaur, but you can actually make metal versions of them later on, which are going to be invulnerable to dinosaur attacks. So we need an intake, straight pipes, taps, and intersections, and vertical pipes. Now, we could also make a water reservoir. It's really good for bases that do not have a natural water source next to them, and the water reservoir will fill up when it rains and give you a constant supply of water over time, which is very helpful if you have a base that's nowhere near a water source, like especially high up in a mountain or something like that. You'll want a lot of those, which will constantly collect rainwater and then slowly drain out over time to irrigate your crops. So right here is a great place to build our base, and I just had to check that parasaur. That's pretty cool, tech parasaur. I heard from one of my users that the Switch version actually now has the tech parasaurs, which is awesome. Congratulations, guys. They are very fun. So I'm going to start actually making these pipes, and I'm going to start by using the water intake pipe, which is the first thing you need to build. That actually goes down into the ocean, and that's the basis for your entire water system. You have to build all of your pipes up from the water intake. I'm also going to build some vertical and horizontal pipes, and it looks like I'm going to need some more wood in order to make these outlets, and I'll also make some junctions here. So we've got a ton of stone from our Doedicurus, and that's a great way to get ridiculous amounts of stone. They're awesome. And I think I'm going to have some wood on my beaver, who is also amazing at gathering wood. And there you go. So we've got all the supplies we need between those two dinosaurs, and if you missed any of the guides on how to tame those or how to use them, they are amazing at getting all the materials you need. They will completely change your life. So check out those guides if you missed them. So I'm going to go ahead and set the water intake pipe, and this is a great place for me to park my floating fortress because it's a very shallow beach, and shallow beaches make it so you cannot be attacked by whales because they can't get into shallow water. So the intake pipe goes along the bottom of the ocean, and I'm just going to place that right there so I can build it up onto my raft. It's important to put the intake pipe where you can easily get it up to your structure, and then we can snap the horizontal pipes right from the end of it. And I was actually thinking it was facing the other way, but this will work just fine. The great thing about our floating fortress is we can move it around. Now, it's all built on top of a raft, and you cannot actually attach pipes to a raft. So if you've got a floating fortress or any kind of a raft-based build, you cannot attach pipes to it. but you can attach them to the bottom of the ocean and set up an irrigation system that will stay right there. And anytime your raft is parked underneath that irrigation system, it's going to get watered. So I'm going to pull this raft around and place that pipe right in the center. And from now on, whenever I'm home on Herbivore Island, I'm just going to park this base right underneath the irrigation system, and then it'll water all of my plants every time I come back home. And you have a long time where it takes a very long time to run out of water once you've irrigated your crops, so we should be in great shape to explore around and then just water it every now and then when we're back. So I'm going to build these vertical pipes up high enough to where they're going to reach above my plant species X turrets, and we're actually going to build 2 tiers of this irrigation system. So the first tier is going to be up at this height, and that's going to allow it to reach just above my plant species X turrets and water the crop plots that are keeping them alive. So I want this to go out pretty far. Now, an irrigation system can actually water a pretty good radius around it, and if I were to put a water tap in the very center of this, it would probably be able to irrigate the whole raft. But I want to hedge my bets, and I'm just going to put a bunch of taps on all of the ends of these pipes, because it's going to just make it real easy for me to park in the general area of this irrigation system. I don't have to be exactly on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and make these water taps, which are actually where the water comes out. And I'm going to go ahead and just make 5 of these, and that'll just make sure that everything in this whole area gets irrigated, and I don't have to be so exact when I'm parking. So we'll drop that into my hotbar, and then we can just attach those to all of the ends of these cross pipes here. And as you can see, I'm dehydrated, which is perfect timing. You can actually drink water from the tap by pressing the X button when you're close to it, and you can drink just like as if you were in a body of water, which is very handy if your base doesn't have a good water source. You can make an irrigation system which will give you something to drink too. So I'm going to drop all of these up here, and that should be enough to water most of my base when it's parked under here. Now, as you can see, the crop plots that I'm next to are not getting irrigated because they're too far below these pipes, but the turrets are irrigated. So they're not right underneath them, but it's a good enough area that they're actually getting watered. Now, if I come down to these turrets on the end, they are probably out of range, but we've still got a pretty good area that's being covered, and if I just slowly move my raft back and forth, I can water the entire area. So, as we can see here, these taps are too high above my crops, but I'm going to set up a second tier that is right up against my garden. And this is the most important thing, so I'm going to go ahead and put these another 5 wide, and then I'll put a tap down, and as you can see, this entire crop plot is irrigated, and every single one of these is actually being irrigated by that one tap, which is pretty great. You only need a couple of taps for a large garden. But just because I don't want to have to park so exactly under here, I'll put another couple taps on here just to make it easier for me. So now the entire garden is being watered, and as long as I park right around here, I've got all the water that I need. I can also, aside from drinking from these, I can actually refill my water containers. If I hit the Y button, it'll open up the inventory, and then when I drop my water skins into it, it actually fills those up automatically, which is pretty good. Now, you can see the pipes are blue, and as long as they're blue, that means they've got water coming through them. Always make sure they're blue when you're building an irrigation system, and that's going to make sure that your irrigation system actually works as you're building it. So there we go. Now everything except these last turrets are actually irrigated, and I can even more quickly irrigate those manually if I want to, or I can just move my raft forward. So that's the basics of building an irrigation system, and you can make that extremely long if your base is far away from a water source, But just remember that you need to make metal pipes if you're in a dangerous area and you're worried about dinosaurs doing damage to your irrigation system. So as you can see here, the crops are not irrigated normally, but as long as I pull my raft around and park it underneath our little irrigation station, then it's going to just water all my crops every time I stop home at the island. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe to our channel, and we will keep bringing you more great guides like this one. And be sure to subscribe so it gives you a notification when the next one comes out, which will be very soon. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching this video from the Ark Survival Guide. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more great guides like this one. Ark is an amazing game, but there is so much to learn before you can really enjoy it. We are dedicated to bringing you high-quality guides, tutorials, and Let's Play videos that are fun, helpful, clean, and suitable for the entire family. There's a tutorial in this series for everything we have done so far in this video. Check out these playlists for more episodes from this series and other guides to help you enjoy your journey on Ark.